the Mike Scully Show worldwide. Big man running the game, let them all testify. Hot takes, real talk, no lies. Swinging like a champ, we ain't ever getting sidelined. Shout out the Hebrew Hammer, dropping truth like a sermon. Every take he deliver, got him shook, make him learning. Tricks, picks from the Bama side. He call it like he see it, put the numbers to the grind. Hillbilly from West Virginia, always keep it trill. Moonshine wisdom, got that old school feel. We debate till the clock run out, then laugh at the politics, cause it ain't worth the bout. It's the Mike Scully Show worldwide. Big man running the game, let them all testify. Hot takes, real talk, no lies. Swinging like a champ, we ain't never getting sidelined.
This is the Mike Scully Show.
Hello, sports fans. We come to you from the beautiful Gentry Thomas Studios in this beautiful Southwest Florida, Fort Myers. Today, we're going to start the show off talking a little politics, which we normally stay away from, but there has been a lot of goofy shit going on. So to get it started, I've got my normal cast of characters. My man from beautiful West Virginia, the Hillbilly Network News. What do you say, Sean O'Rourke?
Mr. Scully, I am tip-top. That phrase is trademarked and not be used without the express permission of the Hillbilly News Network.
And my man with the T-Rex doesn't like push-ups. My ride or die from day one. Tricky, what do you say, buddy?
How are you, my friend? Feeling good. Ready to have a good time.
Okay. And the author of the Hammer Chronicles, the one and only, the Hebrew Hammer, Elliot Skalski. What do you say, brother?
I got to tell you, T-Rex isn't the only one that hates doing push-ups.
This is true. This is true.
Oh.
You don't look this pretty by doing push-ups.
Show me a push-up.
This is all natural.
Go into the
arm sickle. 12-ounce sickles.
He does a lot of 12-ounce curls, but not the push-ups.
No, he's on the 8-ounce curls today.
See, it makes my hand look bigger.
And Mr. Scully, we're on the Gulf of America now, too. You forgot to mention that.
Oh, shit. My apologies. My apologies.
Yes.
Well, gentlemen,
We are on the Gulf of America.
it has been a goofy week.
To say the least.
I did a short for the show early Tuesday morning and discussed the fact that the 45 Democratic senators did not vote to not allow boys in girls' sports.
You mean the Feminist Party?
Yes. And that...
All dressed up in pink.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Exactly. They all dressed in pink for the State of the Union, but we don't support women.
Men should be able to play with women.
Well, believe it or not, that short for us, we've had some really good ones, but that one had the most comments of anything we've put out on social media.
And we're a sports show.
Right. Good figure.
But from comments, but 98.1% was in favor, and then the other can kiss my ass. But I was disappointed in that because obviously I'm a girl dad. You're a girl dad.
Yes.
I have two Division I, one has played Division I college baseball and a Division I prospect in high school right now. And to have my boys to go over and play softball would be unruly. So I was very upset about that. And I felt I had to come out and make a stance. And then Tuesday night, we watched, it wasn't called the State of the Union, but President Trump gave a speech. We've had Republicans misbehave in the past. Marjorie Taylor Greene during Biden hollering out, say her name.
Lauren Boebert, same thing.
Yeah, they have done stupid stuff. But the behavior of the left-hand side of the room Tuesday night, in my eyes, was just unconscionable.
Very un-American, if you would.
Yeah, I think that's probably...
They hate our country.
It's not patriotic when you don't celebrate the fact that you have a 13-year-old young man who has beat cancer. Well, hasn't beat cancer, but was diagnosed with giving 5 months to live, and that was, 5 or 6 years ago? You don't stand and applaud for Laken Riley's mother, who was the young lady who was killed at the University of Georgia by an illegal immigrant. Who had been in jail, I believe, 3 or 4 times prior to that.
The previous administration's policies allowed to be out free.
Yeah. You go back to, Riley Gaines was in the crowd. Peyton, I can't remember her last name, the young lady, this volleyball player. McNabb, thank you. Who was struck by a ball in the face by a boy and had some slight paralysis at time in the face, but has, had
permanent whiplash.
Yeah, I mean,
brain bleed.
And they don't
concussion.
celebrate that.
And you see the picture on the screen. You've got the officer who was the Border Patrol officer who was involved in a firefight. And different things. And yet now you've got the Democratic Party who's been screaming about, you let out the people on January 6th. Don't you believe in police officers? Don't you believe in, standing up for law enforcement? And yet here's a man who's defending our country, won't stand up for him. Like the double standard and hypocrisy of the Democratic Party. And this is where I love to say I'm the movable middle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not beholden to one party. As I say to Patrick, just because I'm left of you doesn't make me left. But the reality of where we are today, it's like that movable middle sees what the Democratic Party's doing and goes, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You make no sense. There's no rationale in what you're doing. You're not exhibiting leadership at all, other than saying we hate Trump and we want to stop everything that Elon's doing. There's nothing else they stand for.
Well, help me understand. How is anyone, unless you're part of the problem and you're getting a kickback, not for saving frivolous spending? How can that be unless you're on the take getting it? Then you wouldn't want to stop it. But if you're not and you're looking out for the betterment of this country, how on earth are you not for Doge? Which, by the way, before he started to back Trump, everyone loved Elon. He was a golden child.
Absolutely.
He created their electric car.
Yes, exactly. And for them to just sit there and not... we had this conversation before. The Republicans have done it before, too. So I watched this last State of the Union from Biden. No one ripped up the speech behind him, which was kind of good, unlike when Trump had his.
She lost her dentures the other night, which was hilarious.
Everyone stood, though. Everyone on both sides stood. Now, to your point, you had Green yelling out like an idiot, but which it doesn't make it right, but they all stood when he walked in the room,
Mm-hmm.
both sides. And for them to sit on their hands and do nothing, and Trump said it best, though, there's nothing I can say or do to make you happy.
But when does this become un-American? When does this behavior start become you're not rooting for this country?
When you're doing things not for the Republican side, but when you're doing things for the country, everyone wins. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. When you're saving $100 billion in tax money that we have all paid in, Republican and Democrat, and you're saving that money so it doesn't go to Sesame Street for $20 million in Iran, that is a win for everyone. And when you can't support that or get behind it, you're un-American.
Well, but it goes back to, in my eyes, to the media. Because the mainstream media will side with the far left lunatics right now and not hold them accountable. They're trying to hold Trump and the Republicans accountable, but where was the accountability? CNN that night, I happened to watch after the speech, said it was the most divisive speech in the history of divisive speeches for presidents.
That's all they know how to say until
you talk about the speech for the other night.
12 hours.
Yeah,
12
they
hours
all bagged on it.
Yeah, 12
right
hours
afterwards.
later. 12 hours later. They're coming out with statistics we talked about at lunch today.
A CBS poll. CBS.
Very
not
clear.
Exactly
CBS, not Fox.
CBS, 76% approval.
For Donald Trump.
For the speech.
For the speech.
For the speech.
Not
that
him
night.
personally, but for the topics
speech.
that were presented and how it was received.
Well, I don't know how many take CNN seriously anymore anyway, but I don't know if you guys have been following Elon this past week. I don't know if you know this or not, but they didn't show any of Trump's speeches going up to the election except for one. You want to take a guess which one that was? When he got shot at Butler.
Because they had to.
No, but they had not. They had not shot.
But the reason why they showed that was because they had to.
The visual of the CBS.
Elon, there you go.
Elon's pointing out why are you just showing this one? You never went to any other ones. You never showed him. And it's a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but you have to start wondering what's complicit in this. And it's groupthink, Patrick. I think it goes on both sides of the aisle. I really think we got to start moving away from that. When politicians used to be independent thinkers, critical thinkers on both parties,
But it's where are the grown-ups, right? If Hakeem Jeffries, as the Democratic leader of the Senate, if he stands up, you'll get a lot more people to stand up. He sits down, a lot of people stay seated.
The amazing thing is, though, that son of a bitch doesn't know how to spell bat if I spotted him the B and the T.
It's a Hollywood Henderson quote right there.
His
good pull, son.
His tutor was the mayor of Philadelphia. Spelling tutor.
EGLES.
Well,
the only thing they clapped for the other night was the
more money to Ukraine.
More money to Ukraine.
Which is then what brought out the Pocahontas.
I mean, read the room.
But then I go back to the media. You look at there's a few things that have happened since then. Nicole Wallace from MSNBC,
deplorable,
should be fired.
Yeah,
she should be sitting on the bench right now next to Joy Reid.
Yeah,
should be. And
Well, you
Needs
like
to
how
be.
she at a very last second interjected that died of suicide.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved how she interjected that,
Well,
like, almost under her breath.
her and Mark Cuban were doing the show, and they both should be. I'm sorry, that was Rachel Maddow. Should be doing the show together.
Tomato.
But where's the leader? Take what they're saying aside, because there's no excuse for it. Where's the leadership that's off camera, that are behind the scenes of there?
Mhm.
How are they not sitting there going, yeah, this is actually should reflect our behavior? It's okay to have a differing opinion. It's okay to not think positively of Trump. Free speech, open opportunity,
100%.
not a
Exactly.
problem at all.
Absolutely.
But at some point you go, wait, come on, guys. You've crossed the line here. This is not acceptable behavior.
Okay, who orchestrated all those stupid ass paddles? Because not one of those senators made them. When they got there, it got handed to them. So what jackass orchestrated that?
USAID.
Yeah, it had to be. They were pissed that all their funding got cut off for bullshit.
Well, it's civility.
Serenity now.
Serenity now.
Serenity now.
When do we get back to Elliot's point of being able to have a conversation, agree to disagree, and then you know what the great thing about us and the democracy they say is always in jeopardy? 4 years from now, you can vote him out. Well, you not him because he can't run again, but you can vote for your person.
When he is gone is when that will happen.
You've got to root for the president of the United States, what party he's in, because
Hold on. Before you say you got to root for the president of the United States, there are a couple people that are sitting around this table right now that 8 weeks ago were not rooting for the president of the United States
because he has dementia.
But that if we're saying
I can say that you can't say that about Obama.
But if we're saying you should be rooting for the president of the United States, which is the exact
It's a
same
fair
words
statement.
you just said,
It's a fair
I
statement.
can't say I never didn't root for Joe Biden. I thought he was incapable of doing the job.
Huge difference because
There's a huge difference because if he's successful, that means that we're going to be successful.
I agree. But this is if the conversation is where is civility,
Mhm.
and much like I pushed back on your what sans my paper, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks
whatever
ago,
it was.
right? That we have to be the adults in the room.
Right.
We got to call ourselves out if the behavior is not proper. But that's how you move forward.
I agree
You say,
with
you know
that.
what? We may not be perfect. We're not going to be 100%, and we're not going to kiss a guy's rear end who is, not taking a question from the media. The media is hiding his dementia and his diminished capacity. That is fair to call out.
And that
Right.
was the problem.
But
And
we
that
were not
was-
exactly, I shouldn't say we, not everybody was rooting at that point.
Yeah,
I accepted him as my president, even though I thought there was some shenanigans, we'll leave it at that went on the election. I still accepted him as my president. I didn't like it, but I accepted him. I didn't go out and riot like when Trump got elected in 2016 and burn cars and 3 weeks burn shit in front of his hotels and office buildings. When Obama got elected for the 2 terms, didn't like it. Still, he was my president. I supported him as the president. Did not agree with him at all on most things, but still got the support.
Well, but that goes to
Respect.
How do we get back to civility?
You're
When
100%
Trump is
right.
gone,
Well,
that's how you'll do it.
but I
Because the
think it's
children
also-
will finally have nothing to bitch about as far as one person.
They will always find something.
but
They're taking it out on Elon Musk right now,
yes,
even though you look at what he has done for the country and for the world,
yes,
and yet
he's not on their side anymore.
he's getting correct. So even if Trump is out, do you think the same vitriol won't happen if it's J.D. Vance or Vivek
Yes.
Ramaswamy or
I do.
What's his
Because
name?
here's-
Rod DeSantis or
I do. Can I make
Byron
one quick
Donaldson or
point,
anybody
Scully?
Yeah, because then I'm going to close this first segment with the greatest mic drop of all time.
Perfect. Let me make this one point. We have a shared mutual friend that is a Republican, but absolutely hates Trump because of his personality, how he conducts himself. I'm the greatest of all time. Okay, that doesn't bother me. That bothers this person, where she will not vote for Trump regardless, even though she considers herself a Republican. When you give someone presidential like J.D. Vance, and it's not the, how does one say, all about me, my brain just went
leading with ego.
leading with ego or narcissistic. That was the word I was looking for. When you don't have a narcissistic person that turns people off that way, then it returns, because then they can make fun of Vance, but man, it's a hell of a lot harder. War vet, doesn't talk about himself, came from a horrible upbringing, no fault of his. He just made the lemons in the lemonade. It is much harder to attack him personally than it is Trump.
Yeah. Well, we'll end the first segment though. But the one mic
know what you're
drop
going
of
with.
the speech was the greatest though, when you talked about immigration
Yes.
and how they couldn't pass a bill to solve immigration, and he simply said, "We just needed a new president."
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
Kaboom.
Well done, lads. Well done. Well, as we go to break, that's going to be enough politics for the day. All four of us are still talking
Maybe
to each
the
other.
next 3 weeks.
Exactly. And still like each other. So we're on this way out. We want to give a big shout out to our good friend Frank Papasaduro at Jan Pro of Southwest Florida. If you need commercial custom cleaning, you call Frank or you call me, 224-239-9333. Enjoy the commercial. We'll be back with the Mike Scully Show in just 1 minute. Thank you.
This is the Mike Scully Show. Big, strong, tough, you already know. This is the Mike Scully Show. Kicking doors down, taking over the show.
Big man, big opinions. It's time for big fun.
This is the Mike Scully Show.
Thank you, Gentry.
Here's your host, Mike Scully.
Came in a
wait for
little
the
early
pyro.
on that one, but thank you, Gentry.
I was expecting to
I always wait for the pyro when that
I was
song
expecting
comes
to
Yeah.
take a bat and bite the head off of it.
But we have to do a little housekeeping. Again, we want to thank Frank Papasaduro, but we did get a call during the break from our attorney. And the copyright infringement on Tip Top, if anybody uses that outside of this show, it will cost you $1.
Thank you,
So-
thank you much.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scully.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Delicious,
Yeah.
that was
Mr.
for
Delicious.
you.
I'm glad he's going to be out of town this weekend because it's going to be a rough week. For
D
that
minus
man.
score for this week's podcast.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, D minus.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, NFL free agency is kicking off, and there's been a bunch of signings. Haven't been a ton of movement yet.
And cuts.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the Max Crosby may be the big winner right now. I think the biggest contract signed so far. I saw the Cowboys.
Is it the biggest non-QB contract? Did I
Yes.
see that correctly?
Correct.
Yeah,
106?
yeah,
Like 95 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
yeah. Which is, I mean, he's a great.
It's a good day.
It's a good day to be a defensive end.
No
You
kidding.
think you think Brady had a little bit to do with that?
Well, the amazing thing, I was going to get into that. Good call, Hillbilly. They're saying that he is very hands-on right now, which is interesting, being a guy who sits in the booth and calls games for Fox.
Have you seen him?
Yeah, he's not.
That is his personality. If he is doing something, he is balls deep in it.
Yeah.
No
well,
pun intended.
Right. I'm not going to take it that way,
Yeah.
but saying he's really, really involved, which is interesting. That franchise needs a little shot of something like that. They cut Gardner Minshew,
The stash.
so they're now. What are they clearing space for to go for the draft to move up and pick one, or they're going to be a big free agency
But that's
signing?
common. That's common this time of year. The Cowboys just created what $50 million of cap space.
Yeah, with CD and Dak.
Cleveland created $30 million of cap space that they're going to completely waste whatever they end up doing because
It's Cleveland.
exactly.
Yeah.
Franchises. This is the time where they're creating the space. It's do they actually have a plan on how they're going to effectively utilize it? I mean, the Eagles gave a humongous amount of money to Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And look, very
And
helpful.
they've got 3 big players that are free agents right now to try to sign.
the Eagles.
The Eagles do.
Well, they cut their 2 original starting wide receiver or cornerbacks,
Yeah.
Slay and-
Slay and
Slay and Bradbury. But now because the kids came up and realized
Sounds like a
they're
law
in good
firm.
hands.
well, the linebacker
Zach Bonds
Zach
signed
Bonds.
a 3-year deal, which they had signed him for a 1-year, $4 million deal. Wins on one of the finished top 5 in defensive player of the year
Mhm.
on a $4 million contract 1 year. And now you got a 3-year big time deal. Good sign.
which is a good thing for him.
So
Be-
what's the first domino that's going to fall, Mike? What do you think? Is it Sam Darnold or?
Well, we talked last week. We thought the first move had to be made was Matthew Stafford, and he ends
Right.
up signing and staying with the Rams. Cup's going to be he's out there to move
Yep.
because they've released him. Sean McVay was on McAfee show 2 days ago. First time he's done an interview on Pat's show, and it was really good. He's an interesting cat.
He's smart as a whip, man.
Well, there was one funny note in that deal, they're talking about X's and O's and executing, and they're saying that he called a game, and they wanted to have him call one game a week on Amazon. And he said, no, that's not true. And Pat goes, well, it was like 25 or 30 million to call the one game. And you saw McVay's face kind of go, oh, it was that much? Well, Amazon, I'm available. Call me back. Yeah. So it was pretty good. But
we talk about what space is available and which domino is the first that's going to fall. There's a lot of talk about movement up and down the draft in terms of teams potentially trading up, trading out, moving there. How much impact does that then have on those dominoes? And I don't think it's just a free agent thing. It's who's making moves for what. And I think we could try to predict it, but as soon as we say it, everything's going to change instantly. But it'll be real interesting to see what
about Devo Samuels going to the Redskins
for a bag of chips.
He must be an absolute cancer in the locker room because he is an absolute talent on the field.
No, the issue is to the cap hit for him, and he wants a long-term deal, and that's what the Redskins are willing to give him.
But
3 to 4 year deal,
fifth round.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't get better than a 5th round draft pick. I agree with you, Trick.
Because you have to take on $20 million of his contract.
Yeah, but they got the room because they got Daniels and the rookie quarterback.
That's why the Redskins can get him.
But still, I mean, well, I'm
the
just saying,
marketplace. San Francisco's marketplace. There were only a handful of teams that are capable of taking on $20 million, willing to spend that money, and then follow up, give him a long-term contract. There weren't many teams out there willing to give them anything.
I hear you, brother. And I'm not at any point disagreeing with you, but a 5th round pick.
You have to remember too. Right now, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with Brock Purdy. They got to pay him.
What I've heard, they're in a negotiation. He's their boy.
Yeah, why would you move off him?
He's done according to Lynch,
because it depends on what you want to
keep
him. If you can get him for $20 to $25 million, great. He's not worth $50 million.
Are they going to franchise tag him?
But that's the going rate, and if they do that, then it's $60 million they're paying him.
Which is crazy. I mean, to go back to the Deebo Samuel piece for a second, Joe Thuney.
Is that what the quarterback franchise tag this year is? $60 million?
Well, it's 55 is the highest one right now, and you've got to add money to it, so I just rounded up. Okay. I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm just rounding up to 60 because it's 55 is the highest paid, and if you franchise someone, it's the highest 3.
Not even for 1 year.
And then, he's not even
another bump.
He ain't worth 60.
Christ, you saw what T. Higgins got. They tagged him. He's
tagged him again.
$26 million for a wide receiver.
And he's upset about it because he wants a long-term big $3 million or 3 year deal.
Because if you get hurt this year, you're out you're not necessarily making that money back.
If you can't figure out how to survive off $26 million, though,
it's not about surviving. You're going to live a comfortable life and be generationally wealthy for kids and grandkids.
So go out there and perform, and then next year when they can't franchise you, get it again, and you'll have an extra year on it.
Is there a must-have free agent out there right now? I can't think of one off the top of my head. You could change your franchise free agent.
Yeah, Daniels. He was in the draft last year, so whoever it is going to be in the draft this year. So to answer your question, no, I can't think of anybody.
Free agent
the Chargers released Bosa today.
I heard he's trying to work out a deal to go play with his brother.
San Francisco. Yeah. I heard the same thing.
Well, they got plenty of money. There's no cap hit there.
Yeah, San Francisco released one of their D linemen today as well. So are they making some moves to try to bring him up there? So it'll be interesting how that shakes out.
Look at Kansas City. Traded Joe Thuney to the Bears for a 6th round pick. Here's an all-pro guard, multiple time Super Bowl champ, great locker room guy. But the Chiefs have 2 other guys that are coming up on their offensive line that need to get paid.
Their line sucked. That was the worst part of their team, in my opinion, because Mahomes was running for his life.
In the Super Bowl, not for all season.
No, well, they didn't look very impressed. I mean, how many single-digit wins do they have? So it wasn't like they were dominating people.
But is there anybody even worth moving up in the draft right now? Is there a must-have draft pick? I can't think. Maybe Cam Ward. Maybe
your Cam Ward. You have Sanders and you have Travis Hunter are probably the top 3. Who am I missing?
I think Abdul Carter as the big defensive end that's going to go and make
when he gets his stress reaction.
Who was the kid from Boise, the running back?
Ashton
Gentry.
Genty.
Yeah. I mean,
I think Sanders is going to have a mid-career at best. Mid.
Again, I think it's where does he go? What kind of coach has he got with him? What kind of offensive line has he got? What kind of system?
They're saying maybe Shakur to the Raiders. I've heard. But the Raiders might be looking at him for the QB.
Well, they got rid of their one quarterback, and they got to create some room. Where is Sam Darnold going to go, though? How does Minnesota move off of him?
Because you got JJ McCarthy waiting in the
No,
wings.
but that's a rookie, unproven quarterback.
Well, but it's if you're just saying who would you rather have, Darnold or McCarthy, then it's easy to say, A, he's a rookie. I'd rather have Darnold. If you're looking at Darnold at $40+ million a year versus JJ McCarthy on a rookie deal for 3 more years, now all of a sudden we could put a lot of other weapons around JJ McCarthy, and you'd rather have that. So it's not just a straight up who would you rather have, but it's what are all the other ancillary. If you're paying Sam Darnold $40 million, what else are you going to have to cut on your team?
So use him as trade bait, maybe. Get something.
He's a
for
free
him?
agent.
He's a free agent.
Oh well, peace.
That's why we're kind of talking about, is that the first domino to fall? But I agree with you, Elliot. I mean, he's got a natty. I mean, he's not like the NFL is a little different ball game.
They had to believe in him to pick him in the top,
Yeah.
10, top 12, whatever it was, the draft last year.
Yeah.
There's a little difference between.
A huge difference. I'm not, you can't dismiss
one
the guy.
has
I mean, it's
4
not
letters and one has 3 letters. That's the big difference.
we have
Might be time to
trouble with
grab
that
another
West
can of
Virginia.
that Coors Light for Patrick.
Five rings is in again.
See, NCAA is 4 letters, and NFL
Why
is
you got to bring
3.
education into all this, Patrick? Why you got to put me in the
Math
blender?
hard.
Put me in the blender.
No, there is a huge difference. To your point, I agree.
Well, I mean,
But he
it's not-
obviously has some
I mean,
talent.
listen, he proved himself on the last level at the highest level. So, and I'm not saying that's going to translate in the NFL, but I don't think I agree with Elliot. I don't think it's that big of a jump to let him slide in and, take over that offense.
Well, do you think he'd take Geno Smith $25 million money?
To stay?
Yeah.
No, he's
The offers are what? 3? He's got a couple offers for 3 years, $120 million.
yeah.
By the way,
Where?
Geno at 25 is a steal, an
Yeah,
absolute
absolutely.
steal.
Tennessee was one, and
The Raiders, I think,
and
was
the Raiders was one. So
Man has one good year after having several bad years with other places. No.
But again,
but
that goes to the Brock
it's kind
Purdy.
of finding lightning in a bottle.
Brock Purdy at $25 million, glad to have him on my team. Brock Purdy at $50 million, no thanks.
Yeah, but he's done it now for 2.5 years.
He's done what? Gotten you to 1 Super Bowl? That you had all the other weapons around?
And I can show you 30 other quarterbacks that didn't even do that.
But you got how many other weapons with Debo around? Not there anymore. Christian McCaffrey, been hurt the last 2 years.
Agreed.
Right? You're now, and when he was
But you saw the drop off when he was out and the other quarterbacks came
correct,
in. It
but
wasn't
now
even
if
close.
you're spending that $50 million on Purdy, remember, Purdy was the last pick in the draft.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Correct.
Mr. Irrelevant.
So that was a lot of other money you could spend on that team. You pay him $50 million. There's a lot of other players you're not going to be able to pay on that team.
What's the number, Elliot? What's a win-win? 35? 38?
But the player's not going to say, Tom Brady
He
is
ain't gonna
probably
take
one of
that.
the only people that took value
So-
underneath.
So are we getting into the era where, when we were growing up, we had players that wanted to play for championships. The money would come.
They were also on one team their entire career. They never moved.
Yeah, you couldn't move.
Brady is one of the only players that took a hometown discount. And that was because his wife was making $1 gajillion.
Right, and money
he was
truly didn't matter.
And he was also getting how many sponsorships and
Right,
making money
endorsements.
hand over fist outside.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Scully, though. I mean, you played in the league. Would you take the money or would you take the ring?
You got to take the money.
Wow.
A ring looks good on a shelf.
I'd take the ring. I mean, I'm just
But
wired
it's different if you're guaranteed a ring. Like it's different where in the NBA, you have to be surrounded with superstars to be competitive, right? If you are a one-man show, you are not going to win in the NBA. You need at least 2, if not 3, to have a shot there. In the NFL, you get in the dance, you get in that playoff, anybody can win it.
Mhm.
So just by saying, oh, I'm going to take less to try to build a team, injuries happen, things happen, and you just don't. How often is it the team that is favored or the number 1 seed wins it? That is a rarity in the NFL. So to say, oh, I'd take the ring, of course, given the choice, cash or the ring, yeah, a lot of people could say I'd take the ring, but that's not the choice you're making right now. It's cash and a chance at a ring, or less cash and a chance at a ring.
Well, I'm saying it was guaranteed, and I had immense respect for you and your opinion.
Well,
I was a
Yes, Mr.
little
Scully.
shocked to hear you say that.
well, you have to look at it for Sam Darnold. Does he take less money to stay at Minnesota? Probably has a better chance of winning a ring
They're not winning.
than going to the Raiders.
Go to the Raiders, take the money.
And I'm with you, Patrick.
The more interesting as we've done with a couple of people around this table, we talked a lot about taxes and taxation and what states you're in. But to look and say, what state are you going to get signed in to play in San Francisco? You're paying ton more in state taxes.
67.3 cents of every dollar goes to either the federal or the state government.
You go play in Florida, you play in Texas, and all of a sudden you don't have any, or in Nevada.
In
No
Nevada.
state income tax.
Ooh,
I think
what
Tennessee.
team's in Nevada?
I believe Tennessee is the same
The
way.
Raiders.
Oh,
Tennessee
And
is
Tennessee.
You're going to save
Tennessee.
a significant amount of money.
Alaska.
So even
There's
though you
two
might
offers.
get paid underneath.
Tennessee
and
and
Alaska,
LA.
but Alaska doesn't have a football team.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, though, Scully. That's only the home games that when you travel, you have to pay that.
Correct. That's the Michael Jordan rule.
Yeah. So,
Started in California.
So it'll be
Shocker.
interesting. Yeah, exactly. Go
Give
for
us
it.
more money,
Go
more money,
figure.
more money.
How about playing in Canada? That's a whole different deal, like they do for baseball.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, the NFL free agency is exciting. We'll have more to talk about next week. But we're going to break here, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to get into Elliott's Ballywick, and we're going to start talking about NCAA men's basketball.
Nice.
So big shout out to our good friends Bob Hamer and his beautiful wife Ruta at Coastal Title, and thank you for your love and support. And again, to our audience, we can't do it without you. Please follow, like, and subscribe to the show, and we hope you enjoy it. We'll be back in just 1 minute with more of the Mike Scully Show. Thank you.
Bottoms up.
Welcome back to the Mike Scully Show. Again, a big shout out to Bob Hamer and his beautiful wife Ruta at Coastal Title. We love you guys. Thanks for your support. Gentlemen, NCAA basketball, this is really the only time of the year I watch it. It's kind of gotten a little exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, last night, Ole Miss, what, a buzzer beater to beat Tennessee?
And
You
a
had-
thumping of
Second
Florida.
top 5 win in a week
Yeah.
for them.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
And then Tennessee thumped Alabama with the buzzer beater the other day. They kind of had the role reversal.
Yeah, how about down 4 with, 36 seconds ago and you come back and win?
Well, there was a questionable
Trick-
5-second call there.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Trick went on a little bit of rant on that on social media.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
But
That
you
might say in my paper.
UConn, have they found their stride? The 2-time defending champion? They put Mr.
I
Delicious
don't wanna
into a
see 'em.
tailspin.
I don't want to see them, I'll tell you that much.
No. I mean, it's getting interesting.
They had lost Liam McNeely for UConn. Missed, I don't know, 5-6 game stretch, I think it was, middle of the season.
He's the guy Patrick think's been there since the Reagan administration, right?
He has.
He's a freshman.
Oh.
Now, who's the other guy, though?
Wait, what team are we talking about? I was watching Tennessee
UConn.
Ole Miss.
UConn.
Oh, no, they finally graduated all those guys.
Oh, did they?
They finally
Okay.
got rid of all of them.
right.
Yeah, no, this kid is a freshman. Since him
Yeah.
and the kid from Duke are the 2 top freshmen playing right now.
Cooper Flag.
Derek Queen would like to speak with you from Maryland. 12th double-double last night.
Yeah, he's still not those 2.
He's better than McNeely.
You think?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
that might be a little homer pride right there, but I guarantee you don't get drafted above
You
him.
didn't hear that boom about 9:15
Well, I don't
last
think Derek Queen's going to be a great pro. You want to talk about who's going to be drafted ahead of him? You got the 2 kids from Rutgers, even though they can't find their way out of a wet paper
Oh,
bag.
man, they're talking all about who was the kid from Duke?
Cooper Flag.
night? Cooper
He's
Flag.
number 1 if he wants to go. That he might be better off that he stay than leave because of the teams that are going to be drafting him. It's like, you might want to have one more year at Duke.
Well, they're talking about, they were saying, oh, Duke could give him $5 million. I'm like, Duke could give him $15 million.
Right.
Duke has
Well,
that much money.
And that was the point they were making with the NIL money. Why would he leave and go to a shit team?
Here's why. It's not because of your rookie contract. It starts your second and third contracts that much earlier.
That's a
that
good
those
point.
are hundreds
But
of
making
millions.
$15 million a year kind of eases that pain somewhat.
Yeah, except the last contract that you get that's going to be $60 million.
Assuming he doesn't get hurt or he's a good pro.
Well, this just goes back to the last conversation we had. Do you want the chip or do you want the money?
Take the money.
You give me the money.
Yeah, well, we've established that.
As Randy Moss said,
we
straight
have put you
cash,
in a
homie.
tailspin, haven't we?
homie.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey, would you rather have 4 aces or 3 jacks? You tell me.
You're making me do math right now? 4 aces.
Hey, my
Okay.
boys from
That's great.
OAR. 3
Listen,
jacks and a pair of
Listen,
nines.
I get it.
OAR, baby. Crazy game of poker. 3 jacks and a pair of nines.
Well,
Nice.
we have a few good battles
That's a
this
rush.
weekend to kind of on Saturday to wrap up the regular season. We'll start off with the slumping Marquette Warriors hosting St. John's. Mr.
Here's the only thing that Marquette has going for them. St.
Cam?
John's has already clinched the Big East title outright. This game means nothing to them. Potential NCAA tournament seeding, but they are likely a lock as a 2 seed for St. John's. Win or lose this game. So not saying Patino
I was
doesn't
gonna say, have
it
you
in
heard of
him.
their coach?
Patino doesn't have it in him to not compete hard,
Yeah.
but that take that littlest edge off of pressure to win the game. Who knows?
Where's that? Is that game on
That's
campus?
in Marquette.
It's in Marquette.
Oh, it's in
Fiserv
Marquette.
Forum.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's at the Pfizer Forum. It's an 11 o'clock game.
11
o'clock-
a.m.
11
Their
o'clock
time.
Central-
Their time. Our
Central.
time, noon.
Noon time.
But
our
it's
time.
an 11 o'clock game.
Yeah. Goolsby's opens extra early at 9.
Yes, 8 o'clock. I think it's 8.
Whatever.
What do
Early
you-
enough.
What do you think the spread's going to be on that? Because we can't pull it up right now. It's not.
I think St. John's still going to be favored, but
If St.
not by
John's
much.
if St. John's is less than 2, bet the house on St. John's.
It's going to be 2.5 is the line. That you mark it down, 2.5 will be the line that they're favored by.
Mr. Delicious will be in the blender for the entire week.
someone will not be.
Oh yeah, I've already gotten in trouble for publicly betting against Marquette.
Well, just remember it was Saturday morning when you're at General Goolsby's. Trick did it with fries and bacon.
Yes. I'm picking Marquette. I still think they win the game outright. Money line bet is Marquette for me.
Okay.
They need the win. They really need the win or it hurts them a lot because I think they lose the second seed to UConn if I'm not mistaken. I think they have it right now. If they beat St.
I think they're
John's
3 right now in the Big East.
I thought they were so UConn's ahead of them.
No, UConn's the 4.
Then what team am I missing?
Who am I missing? It's not Creighton this year.
I mean, it's
Butler?
not Villanova. It's not
No,
Xavier.
Butler's garbage.
It's not Xavier or Villanova.
No, Villanova's the 5.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think they're 2 right now. And if they if they beat St. John's, they hold the 2 spot.
If only there was some information, superhighway.
Yes, they could tell us.
Pull
We
this
can
up.
look it up.
Look it up.
All right, so you got that. Then you got Kentucky and Missouri, both ranked.
Mizzou with a bad loss last night.
Where is the
Yeah.
game?
It's at Missouri.
Missouri wins.
We'll get into all this on Duke and Duke bets. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
we will. And bet the over of Kentucky because Kentucky can score, but Missouri wins. They want the win. They need the win. You want them on that wall.
And for the faithful, we've been posting them on the Mike Scully Show podcast on X.
I think it is
Twitter.
time for you to brag, my man.
Yes.
The Hillbilly, we're not in the Hillbilly Chronicles, but it is time to pat the Hillbilly on the back.
For our good friends at FanDuel Sports.
Do your thing.
Well, listen, and I got to compliment the whole team here. You've got a winning record. You've got a winning record.
30-18, but it's not your record.
30-18. I am 31-13.
Verified bets.
Verified at
Verified,
BetStamp.
yes.
At the BetStamp app.
My number's verified as well. Through
And
video,
so are yours. I mean,
through
that's pretty,
video or bet stamp.
that's pretty impressive. All 3 of us got a winning record.
Yeah.
So you should be following the show. And
FanDuel Sports.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we post our Duke and Duke bets
Yes.
almost every day on social media. So please like and follow.
They're awesome.
Yeah, you are killing it, brother.
Oh, thank you. Well, listen, we talked about it before we got here. I have no illusion. I'm going to always try to put out my best picks. Both of you
Right.
guys are too. To go to 70% clip, that's not realistic, but
5-0 documented
ride
last
me
night.
while I'm hot.
Hey, money is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Money is good.
Hey, there was a guy who threw craps in Vegas last week for 2.5 hours
That's impressive.
without throwing a craps.
What?
Yeah.
That had to be
you
over
seen a picture-
125
If you see a
rolls.
picture of this table, just loaded with chips.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sure.
Like, and I don't understand how the dice hit without spilling chips everywhere.
There was
Wow.
one dude, I follow him,
Those are once in a lifetime rolls.
and he was betting chocolates on numbers. The chocolate
Really?
chips.
Wow.
And he
Is that
had
10,000?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the chocolates
Yellow's
are,
5.
chocolates are 25,
25. What's 10?
right? Or the blueberries are 25. Well, but
I know yellow's 5.
He was sitting on the end of the table and he came around the bend with chocolate chips.
Damn.
There had to be 150 of them.
Wow.
Good for him.
So he was killing it. But 2.5 hours, which is incredible. Well, the 2 marquee games left before I get you guys to pick the tournament winners. You've got Alabama goes into the Plains to play Auburn to wrap up their SEC schedule. And then you got the historic one, Duke and UNC. Now, UNC, I don't think has a chance to make it, do they?
Yeah,
No.
this is a
Not gonna, unless they win the ACC tournament, not going to make the dance.
yeah,
I don't
this is a
believe it.
letdown game. Normally, it's a good rivalry. This year, it's a wonk wonk.
What about the
It's a
Alabama-Auburn
poopy
game,
diaper.
though?
Again,
A good game.
That is a
Yeah.
brawl.
That is going to be a
the
great because
first
they
game.
hate
The
each
first
other.
game was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think now because this one is at Auburn,
Yeah, it's on the
home
Plains.
game, senior day, Auburn.
Auburn all day long.
Auburn all day long?
Auburn all day long.
Okay. Well, that'll wrap up the regular season. Then we get into we start to Elliot starts to twitch and his fingertips get numb because it's tournament time.
Well, you realize it's in most nights I could watch 3 TVs at the house. I got 3 TVs on the wall. If I need to pull up the iPad, there's game 4. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday coming up next week, there's 7, 8 conference tournaments.
Right.
I got to be at a sports bar. Got to be at Glory Days. Got them all the TVs in front of you. My problem with Glory Days, one of our favorite spots, favorite watering hole we have down here. I walk in, I draw a diagram of the 8 TVs they have up on their wall and where to put each game. Diagram, channel, team, everything, and they still can't get it right.
All right. Well, let's. I'm going to go around the room and have you guys give me your winner of each conference tournament, and we'll start with the Big 12. Hammer Chronicles.
Iowa State. I mentioned it 2 weeks ago that they were unhealthy. They had a guy that was sick and a guy with a sprained ankle. Everybody's healthy. Everybody is back. TJ Otzenberger as coach, going to coach them up. I got Iowa State.
Trickster.
I'm your huckleberry.
I got to go with Kansas. They're having a down year. This is a way to totally redeem yourself, like in Dumb and Dumber.
Wow.
And I think the dark horse, which normally you wouldn't associate with Kansas, but this has not been one of their better years, blowing a 30-point lead to Baylor at half. I'm going to go with Kansas. They're going to swell up, and they're going to win the whole thing, and they're going to tell everyone to take a long walk off a short pier.
And get in the tournament.
Yep.
I agree with Elliot. I'm going to go with Iowa State. They had a little lull there in the middle of the season. They're getting healthy. I think this is a team that you're going to have to watch in the big dance. I think they're going to want to make a statement in this Big 12 tournament. Houston's going to be a tough to beat, but I'm going with Iowa State.
Okay.
Can I add something to that?
You sure can.
6-7 years ago, Iowa State was a 2 seed going into the NCAA tournament. They played the very first game of the NCAA tournament, 12-15 tip-off. I had them in the final. As a 2 seed, they lose the first game of the NCAA tournament. Take that bracket.
The bracket of integrity.
Game over. As in the you realize your bracket is busted in the very first game
of the very first day,
and yet I am still picking Iowa State.
I like my Kansas bet even more.
Exactly. Well, it's kind of been a down year in the ACC. So
so can we say other than Duke? How about that? Other than Duke, who do we see winning it? Is that fair?
I like that.
Okay.
I don't see anybody surprising to you, Elliot. I don't see anybody.
It comes down to Clemson or Louisville. I think Louisville under Kenny Payne last year were so atrocious that Pat Kelsey has come in there, completely turned the program around, completely rejuvenated the fan base. He has won more ACC games this year than Kenny Payne won in 2 seasons of total games over the last 2 years at Louisville. So Pat Kelsey should be coach of the year at the ACC. If we're not picking Duke, which I think everybody would,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, we're all picking. Duke,
then it would be Louisville.
And Louisville's got some big wins this year. They've
Louisville
knocked off
played
some
great.
good teams.
Clemson above average. They're the number 2 team in the ACC this year. They're 16-2, something like that. Like Duke, if Duke does not win on Saturday, they could have a tie for the ACC title, which is how crazy that is.
Right.
But that's how down the ACC is, all the way down the roster.
So everybody think Duke gets through?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they win the thing. But since we can't pick them, my team that I'm going with is Clemson, and for the sole reason it can see taking chalk, but that's not really it. In the ACC SEC clash challenge, whatever you want to call it, the only 2 ACC teams that won were Duke that beat Auburn at home and Clemson that beat Kentucky at home. No other ACC in that
Team
challenge beat the SEC. For that reason alone, I'm going with Clemson. Duke wins it, but Clemson will be my second.
Okay. What do you think, Hillbilly? You stick
No,
with Duke?
I mean, it's Duke all the way. I mean,
Okay.
and I agree, again, I agree with Elliot. Possibly Louisville could go on a run. That's the only other team I see.
All right, let's go to my home, the Big 10. Give me a winner, Elliot.
Obviously, wearing my Maryland shirt today. Would love to pick Maryland, but the problem with Maryland at the Crab 5 is their starting 5, highest scoring starting 5 in the country, getting 0 off their bench. Not going to be able to win multiple consecutive games. The favorite that I think will win, Michigan State, because of their depth. But my sleeper pick, Illinois. Illinois had been, the flu hit that team. 3 weeks of unhealthy, sick, recovering, starting to get
Could not throw it in the ocean if we were standing on the beach.
I mean, lost by 43 to Duke in New York City, but just beat Michigan the other night.
By 20 in
Throttle.
Chrysler. By 20 in
I think
Chrysler.
starting to come back. Now, I'm not going to go, oh my God, they're going to win it all or anything
No,
like
I
that.
get you.
But you don't want to just say, oh, Michigan State, who's number one, is right now number one in the Big Ten. We don't want to pick the one overall. I would go Illinois.
It's hard to go against Izzo. He's a great coach, but I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to go against him. And I'm going to go with the big train, the Purdue Boilermakers.
Oh.
Really good at home, really horrible on the road. Neutral sites, not so bad.
Are they
Is
in
Indianapolis very neutral?
No, but my point, well, there again, that's yes. So
It's about 45 minutes from campus.
and that's what I mean. And they're a great home team. They suck on the road, but they beat Rutgers by 30 the other night. I believe that was a Duke and Duke. I'm going with the Boilermakers.
Okay. I'm going to throw another surprise out. I think it's another team we've talked about with some injuries and some flu bug. And I think Kilmet is his name. He's been out for the last couple. I'm going to go with Whiskey. I'm going to go with Wisconsin, do a little bit of surprise in the Big Ten tournament. I think
Jack Daniels?
Yes.
Oh, Wisconsin whiskey. You threw me off. Sorry. Jack.
Okay.
That's going to be my surprise pick for the Big Ten.
All right. And then by far the best basketball conference this year, all the way around. I mean, every night somebody's getting knocked off by somebody else. I mean, it's been incredible. To watch you guys place your bets and see the
conference is overrated. They've just been losing too many games of late.
oh my God.
Hey, they're 500 since January 5th.
Since January 5th, they're 500 when they play each other. I mean, I guarantee you an SEC team is going to lose every night.
Those are the dumbest.
God.
You talk about what's on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call. That's the dumbest people. Like, oh, it's a 500 record since the new year.
My God.
Yeah, because they're playing each other. You fools.
We looked it up. What was it? Oklahoma. It was 4-14, and their record was 20-14.
Yeah.
Their overall record was 20-14, but in the SEC, it's 4-14.
13 teams going to make the dance from the SEC.
All right. Give me a winner.
Maybe a homer pick. Florida. And here's why. Florida has 4 guys that are 6'11" and bigger that they can just keep running out. So foul trouble, not traditionally a problem with them. They've got outside shooting. They've got guard play that can go deep. I think 4 or 5 guards. They are built for a long run, especially when it's day after day after day after day. Not saying other teams don't have depth, but Florida's a really tough team. They've played everybody. They've seen it all. I think they have a really good shot, both in the SEC tournament as well as in the NCAA tournament.
Well, the question I have for you, my friend, are you going to go against them?
No, absolutely not. They've lost 4 games all year. They beat Alabama and Auburn at Alabama and Auburn. They lost 1 game at home to Mizzou when they were down 20 points and lost by 1 point. There's always fight in them. They always come back. They lost to Georgia, which is, I guess, their worst win. But
also had to came back from 13 down to have a lead.
Correct.
And then ultimately lost.
It's Florida all day. Go Gators.
And I gotta give you a little love because your man Gentry, he hooked you up because you got a little love over your right shoulder.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's absolutely true. Yeah. No, I think the
great
Gators.
Product placement by our man.
Absolutely, it's the Gators all day. I mean, they have 4 losses, all of them quad 1, and they're still saying they might be a number 2 seed. I don't understand that at all.
Nah, I read an article today that I think they've
after beating Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, everything you guys say is absolutely correct. But if there's one thing we know about March Madness, listen,
we call it madness for a reason.
Yeah. I think the SEC is beat up on each other so much this year. I don't see teams like Auburn and Florida being so focused on winning the SEC tournament versus getting ready for the big dance.
Sure.
I think we're going to see a little bit of surprise here. And there's, I mean, honestly, if you look at it, there's 4 or 5 teams that can win this tournament, the SEC tournament. I would probably go with someone, and we all agree they're going to lose this weekend, is Alabama. But I think Alabama may have something to prove in the SEC tournament. I think you're going to see their best effort. I think that'll be a little bit of surprise, but you could see somebody like Tennessee even make a run.
That's a great point. Billis said it last night because I was listening to the Florida game.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, Alabama got bounced in the first round in the SEC championship or in the tournament, and then they go on to make the Final Four in the actually tournament that matters.
Right. So yeah, I mean, listen.
The opposite of that is also true. The team that goes and wins 4 or 5 consecutive games, your legs are going to be shot come Thursday the following week.
That was the note I put on. Remember, we did for the show notes. that was the question I asked you guys. Is it better to play 1 or 2 games, get bounced, then you get 4 or 5 extra days rest?
Right.
Because that's also no practice. Because when you get the announcement on Sunday night of who the brackets are going to be, and you're going to start playing, that's what part of what when Syracuse used to make runs under Boeheim every year, when they had that 2-3 matchup zone that was incredibly difficult if you're seeing it for the very first time. When you're playing in the at the time the Big East, then eventually the ACC, and you saw it year after year, you could practice and have prep for it. Here, when you see a team like that, you have to be ready to go out and see that and practice for that. If you've had very tired legs after 4 or 5 consecutive games, you're not running your team through a lot of practices, especially not hard practices against what you may potentially see in the NCAA tournament. So that extra couple of days or day or 2 of rest and not putting the extra 40 minutes of game time on your legs. So what happens in the SEC tournament will not necessarily reflect what could or will happen in the NCAA tournament.
I agree to a point, but what the Big Ten and the SEC, I know the SEC, I believe the Big Ten, what they've done to kind of help their higher seeded teams is give them the double bye. So if I'm not mistaken, 3 games is the most, 1 through 4 will play. So the most games they'll play is 3, because you figure 1 through 4 makes 8, so that's 8 to 4 to 2. That's 3 games. So meaning you're absolutely correct. If you're coming from the start like UConn did with Kemba Walker, to go all the way up, those players had to be exhausted because they played 6 games. But having the double bye helps with that point.
Well, we saw what the UConn game a couple years ago that went to 6 overtimes or 5 overtimes.
Yeah.
Is essentially like playing an entire another game on top of that.
Yeah.
These things do happen.
Right.
Yeah. And you figure in the NCAA tournament as well, there's travel. So depending on which zone you're going to go to, how far you got to travel throughout the tournament. So be interesting, but it's the exciting time of year for college basketball.
Yes, it is.
Great job, gentlemen. Great job.
Can I do a quick correction?
You can.
It's Creighton. It's number 2 in the Big East. And if Marquette wins and Creighton loses, they can tie. If they lose, they might go from 4 to 6 seed.
Ooh.
Which means an extra game, which adds more to complexity.
More to complexity. All right. Well, that's men's college basketball. March Madness, it's upon us. We are in the month of March. I can't believe that already.
Love it.
Wow. Time's
St. Patrick's Day is coming up.
Exactly.
My day.
When we come back with final thoughts, again, we want to give a big shout out to our good friend Bob Hamer and his beautiful wife Ruta at Coastal Title. And to you, please follow, like, and subscribe to The Mike Scully Show. We'll be back in just a minute with final thoughts. Thank you.
Oh, America! Are you serious? It is showtime, baby! Here we go! Ram, jam, slam, bam! It's awesome, baby!
Well, welcome back to The Mike Scully Show. It is time for final thoughts, and we're going to turn it over for the first edition of the Hillbilly Network News. What do you got for me there, Sean?
Well, you boys opened up the door with politics, so here it goes.
He slid up in
Now,
his chair. He's jumping in.
I'm gonna steal a line from the great Dan Aykroyd. AOC, you ignorant slut. Now you're probably thinking, Hillbilly, you're going to talk about her treasonous behavior on doing webinars and seminars on getting illegals out of the country.
I thought that's where you were going.
Wrong. Hillbilly, you're going to talk about her TDS. Wrong. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about her MDS. She's got Elon Musk deranged syndrome. Now, we've all been around. That girl is so thirsty for this man. She goes out and calls him idiot. Now, this is one of the brightest minds on the planet. He runs 3 of the biggest companies in the world. And let's be honest, he is the Antonio Cromartie of the tech world. You know, he should start a 4th company.
I like what you did there.
He should start a 4th company, Acme Plumbing. That guy's been laying so much pipe. But you know why he doesn't want anything to do with her? And our boy Gentry here said he would smash that. There's a problem with her. We all like a little crazy, but we don't like crazy and dumb. And she's both.
That's the best pictures he's ever made right there.
But she's serving fries.
I'm getting to that. Now, normally I could be lazy here and say, go back to bartending. But I wouldn't even hire her as a bartender. Because if Patrick ordered a Cuba Libre, she'd be asking what's Spanish for Cuba Libre. So I am going to say, AOC, put the fries in the bag. Wendy's, you got an employee of the month.
Maybe.
Well done.
I don't know.
Billy.
How do you follow that?
That's good.
How do you follow that?
I was going to turn and go the Hammer Chronicles. What do you got for me? But that's...
I mean, I got to. I mean, I got a job to do.
Copyrighted hashtag fries in the bag.
Fries
in the bag.
So I'd considered bringing this one to you guys this week. In Atlanta this past Saturday, number 1 two-time defending champion Notre Dame goes down to number 2 Maryland in lacrosse. Not going to talk about that today.
Okay.
So, but today instead we're going to talk about current events. We are in the middle of open season. Now, when you guys hear the Open, normally you think
Golf.
the golf. Normally think the U.S. Open, maybe the tennis U.S. Open, maybe the formerly known as the British Open, now just known as the Open. In the CrossFit world, the CrossFit Open. Every person in the world that does CrossFit we're now in week 2, 25.2 workout was announced today. Everybody in the world does the same 3 workouts. So you can compare yourself to every single person in the world, see how fit you are. And these are the qualifiers which determines who makes the quarterfinals, who makes the semifinals, and ultimately competes in the World Championships held in Texas in August. But it's a great community event. I left you guys, or a couple of you guys, I think, on a Friday night to go support those in my gym that are competing and trying to do it. So for those of you that are out there, doesn't matter whether you're a world-class athlete or just a regular gym goer, support those that are doing the Open and have a good time and enjoy your workouts.
Look at this guy.
Very nice.
Oh, he's a CrossFit son of a buck, isn't he? All right, baby. What sans my paper?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Greatest line ever in a movie, or one of the top 5. Real quick, you made me think about it. So, does that give a new meaning to Joe Pesci's line in Lethal Weapon 2? You always get effed in the drive-thru with AOC. Working at Wendy's.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Guarantee the order ain't going to be full.
Oh, my Lord. Anyway.
Just a bit outside.
What sans my paper? And you're right. I had a rant about it because I was fit to be tied. So for the people that maybe not have seen the game, let me paint the picture. The score is tied. Alabama, Tennessee, because to your point, with 36 seconds to go, Tennessee comes down and ties it up. They've got the ball. No shot clock. They're doing their business. I'm like, all right. All I need, by the way, to cover one of my bets was 1 bucket, 2 points, 1 bucket. I'm like, dude, this is a win. They shoot and they miss. Goes to overtime, not a problem. They make it. They make my bucket. Well, then they almost turn it over and get a jump ball. But as luck would have it, I still had possession. So they kept it with 3.2 seconds left in the entire game before they get to overtime. With 2 timeouts. Oh, yeah, here we go. Oh, yes. So that should have been a foul. They call it a jump ball. Should have been a foul, but they call it a jump ball. I'm still okay. I'm sorry, 2.6 seconds. Then with 2 timeouts, as you can see the little dots, because they might take one now, they were still left with 2. This knucklehead lets 5 seconds go and doesn't call timeout.
That was quick 5.
Okay, quick 5, fine, but you have 2 timeouts, so call a timeout. I don't even mind that he made that mistake. They're not perfect. It's a game. People make mistakes. That's why you get 5 fouls. But then when you let him inbound the ball, no pressure, none. He curves it up. Look, no one's even in his face. That is on coaching. That is why Alabama got their ass beat against a superior team in Florida on this Wednesday night on their home court with their rooster in their mouth. They deserve it. Alabama, you suck a bag of potatoes.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
There were at least 5 or 6 times that could have ended quite poorly, and I'm quite proud of you.
Thank you, because I wanted it to end passionately.
That was very measured.
I have to tell you, that is 3 weeks in a row. You have been my A++ student.
My boy's all grown up. All grown up.
Thank you, Mr. Miyagi.
Well, I got a couple closing thoughts to talk about today. You guys know what a huge fan I am of Tiger. And I don't know if I'm a big fan of this TGL.
I'm still out on it too.
According to their ratings, nobody is.
Yeah, I know. It's sad. But
ouch.
But what we got exposed to the other night, and I've told you this, what a cut up this man is. He is by far the best. he had an exchange with Tom Kim, and he asked when Tom Kim was born. He says 2002, and he sits there and he goes, "Oh, I had 3 masters by then." And Tom Kim's like, "You got it."
There it is.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, 3? 97, 01, 02. Year you were born?
02. You didn't win that year?
So I had won 3 Masters by time.
He is the best. He's just got that quick wit. Like I told you the story, what he did with my ex-wife was just, I've got 4 Masters. I don't need to go back and finish at Stanford, but golf needs him. And if this keeps him involved a little bit so we get flashes of this, it's really great. I was hoping he was going to play Bay Hill this week. Obviously, he has so many memories there with Arnie. Bay Hill, interesting, they didn't give sponsors exemptions to Ricky Fowler and Jordan Spieth this week, which was, yeah.
Did you see what they're doing with the live broadcast this week? I don't know if you guys might not have caught that because we're more into the PGA, but MasterCard is doing less commercials this week, and they're miking up the caddies and the players, and they're going to do more interaction between the caddies and players. But I think it's going to be amazing.
Of course, but then pissed Phil off because he wanted to mic up.
Well, Phil, that was the
which
original.
is why Live exists right now.
Was the original deal because he had the I think it was with YouTube, but or somebody like that was going to be on his bag.
Yes.
And Jay said, and then Phil. That's when Phil said and started. Build a statue for him because he made the move to make all these guys more money. And John Rahm just signed a huge contract for his team with Live with Callaway.
Nice.
So things are starting to mend. So they need golf, but golf needs Tiger, either in the booth or hopefully playing to somewhat close to his capability. Because, like I told you, and I'm on record with this, there have been 2 needles in sports the last 50 years. Michael Jordan was the needle, and Tiger Woods.
Oh, I thought you meant steroids. Oh, sorry.
No, that goes
different
back.
needle.
That goes back to when Brian Bosworth ruined it for all of us.
That's happened to a Slim Jim.
Well, gentlemen, great job today. Great show. Lots of fun stuff. Gentry, to you and the boys, thank you for all you do.
You guys are amazing.
Thank you, gents.
Signing off from the beautiful Gentry Thomas Studios here in Fort Myers, Florida. This has been the Mike Scully
Golf
Show.
America.
And we will see you next week. Be safe out there. Thank you.
Golf America.